And then if we watch it over here, we'll be even more delayed, right? Because we are live.
Now
We are live, Murray.
I feel alive.
Well, that's good. But we're live on YouTube. See, I gotta mute this because
Great.
it'll mess us up, right?
I'm having trouble. I'm having trouble not looking at myself on the screen.
Well,
But it's okay. I'll get used to it. I'll look
you
over
can
here.
look at yourself.
Yeah, I know it looks like I'm looking away.
I do. Well,
I want
yeah.
people to know that I care about them and I'm looking them in the eye.
Oh, that's nice.
Well, it's the only way to do the relational part.
I think we lost our only viewer, Murray. That we had.
Was it a bad start?
I don't know. So we did these back in the summer of 2021.
Yeah.
And then we kind of got sidetracked.
Yeah.
What can we blame it on? I mean, you went away for like a month in the summer.
Yeah, I was away a couple of months in the summer.
And then I guess we just didn't get back to it.
Yeah.
And then I had some life changes.
Yeah.
A little bit. And then and Omicron was crazy.
Yeah.
So I don't know how much that affected. You're normally here every Wednesday, but
Yep.
you missed a couple of Wednesdays due to contact tracing and whatnot.
I did. My whole family had Omicron. Two of my kids and their families, and my wife, and I had nothing. And I'm the one that has to worry about it.
Well,
I've got all the relating problems that would make me really sick.
Well, it's good then that you didn't get it. And what's crazy about Omicron is I didn't know any who had like the first variant or the Delta variant other than my brother-in-law. And now, and I know other people, like our mutual, he's my acquaintance / lawyer, and he's your friend. He had COVID.
He had the first one, he and his wife.
Yeah.
Yep.
And my brother-in-law had it, but mostly everyone I know who's gotten COVID, it's been Omicron, and we're talking now at least 20 people.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And none of them, not one single person has been ill enough to even go to the doctor.
Yeah, I can update that a bit. I have a close friend whose father picked it up probably at a church that wasn't following the rules, and he died last week.
Oh.
Of Omicron.
Oh.
Yeah.
How old was he though?
Late 70s.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's not that it's not sad, but I don't think young, healthy people are dying of Omicron.
Not many for sure.
No, exactly.
And hardly any kids.
That's a good thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yep. I mean, if this whole pandemic, the nature of it would change 100% or 180 degrees. If kids were getting this and dying from it,
do you think so?
We would be living in a totally different world.
Well, I think we've already, I don't know, I think it already was pretty strict. Or do you mean just the way we react?
Yeah, I don't
what
think
would
you'd
be
have...
different? You don't,
we'd
have more lockdown?
I think we would have more people really working hard at isolating.
Right.
I think we'd have less anti-vaxxers.
Yeah.
I think anything that affects your kids is much different than yourself. And right now, the kids aren't being affected much.
Right.
And so it's, if you make a decision, it affects you. But I mean, this is all hypothetical. It didn't affect the kids. And my goodness, if I lost one of my grandchildren to this pandemic, I'd be distraught. If I lost my wife or she lost me, I would be distraught, but not like losing a child.
Right.
Like we've had a long life.
You've had a long life, a good life. When a child goes, it's.
Yep.
I heard from a friend of mine that she spoke to a friend of hers that she lost her 10-year-old.
Oh,
But I don't know if it was not Omicron, and I don't know if the child had other health issues because it's almost exclusively children. And that doesn't mean it's better. Like, it just means the kid could have had juvenile diabetes, right?
yeah.
And juvenile diabetes should not be a death sentence under any circumstance,
Oh,
right?
no, not anymore today, for sure.
No.
But it just exposes you to more problems.
Yeah.
I mean, those who are not wanting to get the vaccine or haven't got it.
Yeah.
I heard an interesting story. This older man that died, it was a friend of mine's father, and the brother is a total anti-vaxxer in his whole family, and it just and like I'm for people having the right to make that decision.
Yes.
But when he was talking with the
I
doctor,
think it's just the right choice.
Yeah.
For most people.
Yeah. But the doctor sat down with the family and explained what it was, and said that he died of included pneumonia. So the brother said, "Oh, so he died of pneumonia," and the doctor very quickly corrected him and said, Omicron induced pneumonia. He wouldn't have got pneumonia without the Omicron, and he wanted to just blame it on the pneumonia.
Like pneumonia is a symptom, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Pneumonia is fluid in the lungs.
Yeah, and that's what finally got him, but he wouldn't have had it if he hadn't had the Omicron.
That can be bacterial, and it can be viral, Omicron.
Yeah. Like, I'm still for vaxxing, and I still have trouble understanding why, if it helps your neighbor in any way to feel safer around you, why you wouldn't do something on behalf of your neighbor.
Well, I think people are worried. I think there are people who are not just for freedom, but there are people who are genuinely worried about side effects.
Yep.
And I know some people that have had. Okay, I know one person. I'm not gonna be hyperbolic or exact. I know one person who took it, and then 2 days later, when she was not expecting to have her period, she had the heaviest, longest period of her life. And at that point, she brought it up to her doctor, and her doctor in the establishment, doctors were saying, nope, it cannot affect your period. And now just a couple of weeks ago, it said, oh, maybe it can affect women's period. So, we are still learning the long-term effects. And she's an otherwise healthy person. So I can see why, if she doesn't feel like she would die from or be too negatively affected by COVID, why she might. And then she took her second shot. She still took her second shot because, she actually works with people with disabilities. So, again, she is choosing to essentially take the risk of the side effects to assist people like me and her other people she works for in helping us avoid. So I really appreciate what they've done. Just like my main guy who works for me, he's a healthy 28-year-old guy. If anybody probably doesn't need the vaccine, it's him, and he's triple dosed. Why? Because he works with me on a ventilator, and he works with another gentleman in his late 70s.
Yeah.
So, he's taking it to protect the people he works and cares about. Because not just he works with us, he's worked with me for over 6 years. I know he genuinely cares about me, and he genuinely cares about the other guy too.
Now, when I get annoyed with anti-vaxxers, which I have to admit, I do get annoyed with it. I
Mhm.
remember how I felt back before they had any vaccine at all, and they
Mhm.
said they were rushing these companies to get the vaccine.
Right.
Here's my initial reaction: why would I ever trust a company
Yeah.
that's going to make billions off of this
Yeah.
and has been relieved of any responsibility of side effects?
Right.
Why would I ever trust that? Because, I mean, like a lot of people, I have very little trust in large corporations other than that they'll make lots of money for their investors.
Which is what I don't understand. Like, I don't want to get too political on this, but the political left, if you had asked them 3 years ago, do you trust companies like Pfizer, Johnson and Johnson,
Yeah.
and Moderna? They'd be like, no.
No.
And now they are
Yep.
en masse, blindly supporting these companies, and
Yep, taking their word on everything.
yeah, and that,
Yep. Yep.
it doesn't mean, cynicism is good and mistrust is good, but
Yeah.
there's nothing wrong with investigating.
Yeah. Well, everybody in two of my kids' families and their kids and my wife have all been at least double vaxxed.
Yeah.
And they all got Omicron. I've been triple vax. My wife is triple vaxxed too. She got the Omicron and tested
Right.
positive. So it's not. Well, they say let's say it's 90% effective.
Yeah.
That means that 10 in every 100 are probably going to get it.
Yeah.
In our family, it would be much higher than that. If you just looked at our family
Yeah.
as a sample, it's way higher than 90.
So some media and some politicians now call it the pandemic of the unvaccinated, but that's just not the case.
Yeah.
There's so many people that are vaccinated
Yeah.
that are getting it, and maybe they're not getting it as badly, which is good, and I think that's all the more reason to take the vax. But I think to characterize it as pandemic of the unvaxxed is not fair. Hey, Mary, we got a comment. Somebody wrote a comment. Let's check it out.
Create a banner.
Oh, somebody said, wow, good point. I don't know what they said that to, but thanks for tuning in.
I'm sure it was to something I said.
Obviously, you're the wise one. You're the wise one, Mary. Yeah, Sith tanked. Thanks for tuning in, dude, and or do that, and make sure you take part in the poll. We'll talk about this a little bit later on, but we'll talk about the truckers, the convoy, and the fallout from that. It's a pretty hot topic, so we'll talk a bit about the left flipping the script on. Oh, so something I said, right? But you agreed with me, so we're both equally smart. So this is good. Now I can see the comments come up.
Thanks in
Tank. Yeah.
What is?
I don't know what that means.
Yeah.
Maybe they'll tell us.
Anyway, one of the things that seems to be true is that, and this comes from the inside. I have a friend who's an anesthesiologist, and she says that all the people in the ICU, or the vast majority of people in the ICU, are all unvaxxed or won't declare whether or not they're vaxxed. And if you don't declare it, I have to admit, I assume you're not vaxxed.
Yeah.
Like if you got
so
vaxxed,
the sickest people are vaxxed, not vaxxed.
Yeah.
Sorry. So anecdotally speaking, the sickest people are not vaxxed. Now, the people who are vaxxed and really sick, I'm betting there's probably comorbidities like other health issues involved.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Like for me, I'm double vaxxed. I'm still waiting to, unfortunately, get a home visit for my third shot. And, for me, again, I'm pro-choice. For me, it makes sense to get the vax because the risk of getting Omicron without as much protection is far more dangerous than most side effects, right?
I would never ever come here if I hadn't been triple vaxxed.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not wearing a mask.
No.
But, I think we've agreed on that.
Yeah. Well, we've established that if you're around anybody, you don't come by.
Yeah. And I didn't.
If you have any symptoms,
yeah.
you don't come by. I think we know now that the masks, unless you're wearing an N95 and stuff like that, they're probably not the most useful things. And
yeah.
like you also helped me take medication a few minutes ago. You helped me take a drink of water. Like you're touching things that are going on my face and in my mouth.
I'm breathing right in your face right now.
Yeah. I mean, you're breathing into the tube that breathes into me.
Yeah. How's my breath?
It's not bad. Well, I think Sims took off, but that's okay.
Yeah.
People will still watch it after the fact. Let's see if anyone voted.
What was the
poll?
Yeah.
It's not showing it. It just says, do you support the trucker convoy?
Oh, yeah. I'd have trouble voting. A simple binary, I'd have trouble voting.
Right? It is. It's very difficult. Okay, so let's talk about the convoy a little bit.
Sure.
Let's not beat it to death. We got other stuff to talk about. We're going to talk Super Bowl, and we're going to talk extremely talented 8-year-olds who can sing so amazing.
Sing the lights out.
Yeah, exactly. So, okay. So here's a quick rundown. They've been in Ottawa 3 weeks. The antithesis and the starting point of this is when Trudeau refused to allow truckers to cross the border unvaccinated. So that was kind of, and it's like, is that just the issue? Well, no, but it seems like that was sort of the breaking point or the rallying cry for people all across Canada to gather and to support one type of, industry and people. And so it's not just about the truckers. Obviously, the truckers are, the organized group that did it, but it's about vaccine mandates in general, vaccine passports, also, other type of lockdowns and things like that. That's all what it's about, is this protest, is that they want pretty much an end to all mandates. And, Justin Trudeau doesn't seem to like these people very much. He spoke very negatively about them and attacked their character. And some of the more mainstream media has also done that, whereas some of the more independent, say, right-wing or conservative media, and not just right-wing, but like more independent media has been in favor of the truckers. In fact, I've seen very left-wing media in favor of the truckers too. Do you know the Jimmy Dore show that's in the U.S.? Do you know that?
No, I don't.
Okay, so Jimmy Dore is a pretty far left guy, and I normally don't watch a lot of content from the far left, but what I like about Jimmy is that he's very much um, he's less worried about left and right on issues like this, and he's more he sees the difference in like socioeconomic class. He sees it as the rich and powerful versus the regular Joe. So
Mhm.
there are some people on the left that have identified that it's the rich and powerful, the ruling class, the Trudeaus, the CBC, who are against the truckers, and it's more the working class that are for the truckers. So that's kind of my rundown of it. Is there anything you think I missed in just a basic rundown of what's happening?
I think that's pretty thorough. I haven't. It's funny. This is one of the controversies that's been happening
Mhm.
that I haven't followed as close as I do many others, because I actually follow a lot of stuff. But for some reason, this has been mildly off my radar. I know some about it,
Right.
and I know how I feel about it. But yeah, I think that's probably a pretty good summary of what's going on.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, I've got mixed feelings about the protests. So, I don't think they're predominantly racists and homophobes and things like that, as Trudeau painted. In a group of 10,000 people, there's going to be a racist or two. Um, uh, from what I've seen in the video, so I've watched some online stuff. I watched the CBC reporting, and they don't actually have a lot of video. But I've watched some live streaming, and I've watched a few hours, probably a dozen hours over the last 3 weeks. Well, it's only 30 minutes a day, really.
Yeah.
And from what I've seen, it's actually a very positive atmosphere. In fact, the protesters seem angry, more angry than the protesters. And don't get me wrong, there's some angry protesters that are using unkind words, but there's people of all races. I saw a trans woman who the only she said the only flack she got was from other trans people for essentially crossing boundaries. And so these are all good things, I think. What I was not in favor of was shutting down the border crossings because, again, if you shut down the border crossings, which is what essentially they're complaining about, is they didn't like that the borders were shut down at times, because it prevented working and trade and things like that. Um, but they created their own blockade, especially at the Ambassador Bridge in Windsor, which has 25% of our trade with the U.S. And because it was shut down, the Cambridge Toyota plant and other car manufacturing plants on both sides of the border were shut down, which means, again, the average working Joe was put out of work temporarily because of the actions.
Yeah.
And I was not in favor of that. I think that was kind of a step too far. And I think, you're hurting your own supporters. So, like you said, you couldn't just vote yes or no in the poll. Um, where are you yes and where are you no?
Well, clearly on yes in having the right to protest. I know exactly where you are. When your protest disadvantages both people who agree with you and disagree with you at a very high level, I think you've taken your protest too far.
Yeah.
Your goal, if your goal is to hurt other people to make your point, that I don't think that's a protest. I'm not sure what you call that. I would hate to use the word insurrection. That's overused.
I think that's over the.
That's over the top.
But, I think it's like I don't know if it's one of the words we've heard is mischief.
Yeah.
Like criminal mischief. Yeah. Like that might be appropriate.
Yeah. I was involved in a strike in '97 with the teachers, and
were you management?
I was management, but at that point, management was still part of the
the union. Okay.
Still part of the union. It was that strike that took us out of the union, and that's a whole other issue. But the thing that hit a lot of us was that was a 2-week strike, and people were objecting that our protest was disadvantaging kids. And I think we now know from what's happened over the last 2 years, 2 weeks off school is not a disadvantage. There isn't any education system in the world that can't make up 2 weeks or even 2 months of being off. But the teachers...
Do you think even 2 months is okay?
Yeah, I mean, everybody's experiencing it. So the way back is applied to everybody. But I mean, I'm not trying to justify it, but the teachers, there were a lot of teachers who just significantly felt that probably 2 weeks is our limit. And we, I think we actually got, I might be forgetting this, I think we got mandated back to work. But I think a lot of us were kind of breathing a sigh of relief.
That was under Mike Harris?
Pardon? Yeah, that was under
Mike Harris. Okay.
A guy that did everything on the backs of teachers, in my mind.
Well, he did everything on the backs of everybody. Like, he cut the Ontario Disability Support Program so badly that it's only within the last couple years have we now, are they at the same levels?
Yeah. Well, the budgets in education were affected back then, and it's taken them a long time to recover.
Yeah.
But that the idea that you protest, one, if you protest, you need to be willing to accept the results of your protest. So for teachers, they lost 2 weeks of pay. Now, for me, having been in a long time and well along in paying off my house, that wasn't a big deal. But to a lot of first-year teachers, that was a major hit. You take 2 weeks out of your year, and I mean, I lost 2 weeks off my pension. What a joke that was. My pension reads this percentage that had to come off because of the strike. But there's you have to be willing to take the results of your protest. And I'm not sure what they've experienced is right. But when you start protesting, you have to start protesting with the idea that I will absorb or accept the implications of what I'm doing. And it's not just I'll do it and then I'll walk away free. Almost no real protest does that. So I think they've definitely suffered by not working. But when you impose that penalty on a massive number of other people who are in disagreement or even in agreement with you, I think your protest has gone too far. But, there might be things that the government does that I have to be really careful in this because I don't always agree with the government. And I have some views that if you go over that line, I'm not going with you. So, So,
speaking of the government going too far, have they gone too far in enacting this Emergencies Act? Well,
I think maybe Trudeau is feeling he has to do everything his father did, but I don't think they needed that. I think the police could have handled it. I know that maybe.
The police handled
Pardon?
the police handled the situation in Windsor. They got
Yeah.
the blockade stopped.
Yeah.
I yeah.
Maybe you can answer this for me. Maybe somebody out there can answer this for me. Um, the mayor or the police chief of Ottawa resigned,
Yes.
but they didn't tell us why. And I'm trying to figure out, did he protest because he thought they were putting it all on him, or they're taking it all away from them? I'm not quite sure what happened there. Maybe somebody knows, but he seems to have taken a stand that cost him his job.
Because he was pretty much anti-protester.
Oh, is that right? So he wanted to take care of it?
I think so.
Oh, yeah.
And there was another, there was like a head sergeant or something. He wasn't the police chief, but he actually supported the protesters, and he resigned before the chief did, a week or so before the chief did, because he didn't. Yeah. He thought what was going on already was too much, like taking fuel and firewood from confiscating that from the protesters.
Oh, wow.
You didn't know about that?
No, like I said, I'm not into this as deeply as I maybe should have been, but that's a tough one. I really, yeah. So in a sense, the police chief and his second in command lost their jobs because of that. I don't think any of the truckers are losing their job. So the spin-off of what you do, I think you really need to be careful on that. And I don't want to say you never do what they're doing, but I think you must be careful. This is the penalty they're imposing on, on Toyota. They're also imposing down the road in Ingersoll in the plant there. Like everything is being affected. And you can imagine people who disagree with what they're doing. The anger they're creating isn't helping their position at all. So I think, it's not that you judge everything by anger towards your cause.
No.
But I think there's enough out there that you need to say, you know what, we've made our protest. We've actually gained some measures of advancement. Let's go easy on the people that are really getting hurt now. So
yes, like there have been some people in Ottawa that are quite rightly upset with what's been going on. Now, the truckers haven't been honking their horns as much, but they're part of their downtown core has been, seized, right?
Yeah.
And there is extra noise and stuff like that. So there's definitely, I understand definitely some of the frustrations of the people who live in Ottawa. Yeah. So this is just a short 11-second loop, but this is the police having confiscated some of their diesel, and that's not without.
So they can't keep the trucks warm.
Exactly.
Sleeping.
Exactly. Yeah. Even in the wintertime, Murray, if I don't pay my, say I have my heat through my electricity, if I don't pay my electricity bill, they can't shut me off.
Yeah.
Because I'll freeze to death.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So why are the police allowed to do what even the hydro companies can't do? I don't get it.
Yeah. Well, I watched the police services board in Ottawa make their statement that this leader of the police isn't working for them anymore. Right. And you could tell by the tone of her voice that she was glad to have him gone, and this group wasn't in favor of what he was doing.
Right.
And I think in a lot of places, like in Toronto, they got rid of who I thought was a pretty good what do they call the head police guy? The commissioner.
Chief Commissioner, yeah.
Yeah, they got rid of one of them, and it was an argument with the police services board, even though the police were very supportive of a lot of the people. So
Right.
some of these people really do take the power within a very small group to make those kind of decisions. And yeah, it was tough to listen to that because I felt like I was seeing through what she was trying to do. I may not have been, but
Right.
yeah, it didn't look good to me.
Yeah, so two people that have quit so far. One the commissioner, one some other guy. They've quit for the same reasons, but they're on opposite sides. Like one was for the truckers and didn't want to shut them down, and the other one wanted to take more drastic measures but wasn't allowed to. So even within the police force, right, there's tons of varying opinions. And like some of these police, I'm sure, don't feel good about taking the fuel. And some of them are probably delighting in it. So
yeah,
it's kind of a weird situation.
It's mixed. It's mixed all over the place, isn't it?
Yeah.
The one thing that came up was that a lot of these truckers don't have any benefits, and I would think the truckers that work for a specific company, like they're hired by the company that owns the transports, they probably have benefits.
Yes.
But when they say, like a lot of them are independent contractors, they own their own truck.
Yes.
And I would say that's a decent complaint, even though you're an independent contractor. The work that independent contractors do in the trucking industry is so important that someone should take the responsibility for seeing they have benefits. And I guess because they're independent contractors, nobody feels the obligation.
Right.
But I think that's where government needs to step in and say, hey, you guys are essential services. I think you just proven that. You shut down so many economies because of what you did. So now we know how important you are. We should see that you get benefits, even though you're unrelated in a company. Right. They could certainly band together in a government organization and get decent benefits.
Right.
I think they deserve that. So.
Even if there was some sort of truckers pool where they each contributed.
Yeah.
So speaking of benefits, many people were financially supporting the truckers from all across Canada, from the U.S. and across the world. In fact, a lot of donations came from India as well.
I heard that.
So, but then in conjunction with the government, they worked with the government. GoFundMe shut down the fundraising efforts and I think returned the money to the donators. And then they used another site called Give, Send, Go, another US-based company. This one Christian, so a little more likely not to kowtow to government demands, and they didn't. But apparently, the Attorney General of Ontario still somehow got it shut down, and Chrystia Freeland. Yeah, the Deputy Prime Minister. What a nasty person she is. She has said, like, if there's a suspicion of you donating to the truckers, your bank account can be frozen.
Yeah, well, they're
now, to me, that is the utmost draconian thing that Trudeau is threatening and doing.
I was saying they'll take their trucks and they'll cancel their insurance.
Yeah, super draconian.
Really? I mean, they're taking the whole livelihood away.
Yeah.
The whole donation thing. is a quandary to me, because there are some really bad people with really bad reasons pumping money into a number of countries to foster causes that are really bad. So I'm kind of torn to say, well, those guys should be chucked out. But when you're supporting the truckers, I feel like, I mean, there could be groups behind that just like anarchy to reign, and so they're supporting it. I don't know how you weed those out, but canceling the whole thing means that you're canceling out a large part of your own population who's willing to give money.
Bank accounts.
Yeah,
just on suspicion.
Yeah.
I have an old friend / acquaintance. Never really spoken much in the last 5-6 years. He's moved out of town. But he's gone up to Ottawa 2 of the weekends. And
really?
Yeah, I gave him, I emailed him $20. And I said, look, just give it to anybody. Just give it to anybody who you see that you think could use it. Like, now that I've admitted that on YouTube, is Chrystia Freeland going to shut down my bank account? Am I now a criminal? Because according to what she said, I pretty much am.
Yeah, and that's the problem with dividing the real criminals who are trying to foster some sort of anarchy and those who really believe in a cause, and they're just general citizens not attached to some organization that's trying to foster something. That's
why we have this wonderful thing called due process.
Yeah.
And we should always stick to that.
Yeah, it's a tough one. I still wish them well. I think like everything, any cause draws us a fringe group. And there's fringe groups that are ready to jump on any bandwagon because they really have their own agenda. And I think that's happened. Apparently they seized a truck that had guns in it.
Right.
Okay. Take the guns. Like, when you find something's way beyond any sort of benchmark that's realistic, you should step in. So I'm for them taking the truck with the guns in it.
I'm for that too.
Yeah.
Because guns are against the law in that sort of circumstance. Mm-hmm. And I don't want to get too much into comparing this to the Black Lives Matter protests, but there was arsons and a lot more damage than we see in Ottawa. I think there's been some very small amounts of damage in Ottawa, but there was definitely more damage in the BLM protests. And I'll call them protests. I won't call them riots right now. Just I won't try and be too divisive.
I don't see this being called riots.
But. No, these aren't riots, but some people call the BLM protest riots, and I won't get into that. It's still pretty nuanced. But am I for people protesting for what they feel are injustices when it comes to racial injustices? Yes, 100%. Do I think burning down businesses is the right thing to do? No, definitely not. So there are times when protests cross the line, but there has to be due process.
Yeah. And there has to be someone that stands back and says, this part of the protest is totally legitimate and we support it. And this part, sorry, this is over the line and it needs to be dealt with. And we need to extend that to all groups. I mean, personally, as a person who treats his faith as fundamental to my life, there are people of faith who have hijacked what I think is a realistic faith journey and turned it into something that's just a monster. And I want to be able to disown that group and have people see that I think there's a realistic way to express faith in today's society, and there's a really
disown
bad
the
way.
Group or
Pardon?
Disown the group or disown the action.
Yeah, I think there's some groups that need to be. I mean, the Baptist Church in Kansas City was just so far over the line that if you're using them as an example of Christianity, what you're doing is you're taking the worst
Yes.
example of Christianity and
For
comparing,
sure.
and that's Christianity. And we could do the same thing. We could take the very worst example of any sort of secular approach to life and government
Yeah.
and use that as an example of see what happens when you don't have God. Well,
Right.
that's not a great. What about the good parts that,
Yeah,
that all
exactly.
organizations are trying to promote?
So I think, yeah, like Western Baptist Church in Kansas, they're pretty darn extreme, and I would say they're not worth listening to. But
Yeah,
for me to say you're not worth listening to, you have to get really extreme,
Yeah.
because Trudeau's already said that these protesters in Ottawa are not worth listening to. Like, they're too fringe, they're too extreme, and I don't think that's a fair justification. I don't think that's a fair evaluation
yeah,
of the group at all.
yeah. Like I don't want them canceled.
No.
Like I don't want them rubbed out.
Yeah.
What I want is for people to be able to distinguish between a flourishing type of faith and a not flourishing type of faith. And I'm happy to have them speak out. It's kind of like, for me, it's kind of like hate speech. I hate speech, but I don't want to ban it. I want people to hear it so they
Yes.
can react to it and say, hey, we're not with that group.
Yeah,
Look
we
how
don't like that.
flawed this is. Like,
Yes.
because if you suppress something, it doesn't go away.
No.
It just
of course
goes
not.
underground.
Yes.
And so the
And
anger,
it can go unchallenged in
yeah,
some people's minds, right?
yeah, it goes
Oh.
unchallenged. It needs to be challenged. But, I remember the university in Florida, Central Florida, was having I've forgotten the name of the major white nationalist guy, and they
Richard Spencer.
yeah, that's it. They somebody invited him to speak,
Right.
and so they canceled him right away. And I thought, I have a friend who's on staff there in the philosophy department, and I just said, you know what? Wouldn't it be better for people to actually hear this guy in person and go, oh, this
guy is
so
gross.
wrong,
Yeah.
and rather than cancel him and not let him speak, and you not really getting the gut feeling of what this guy is promoting.
Yeah.
I want people to be able to hear this guy. I think what maybe they're afraid of is this guy will be so pervasive or persuasive that maybe he'll take some with him. And you know what? He might. But he'll
I
actually
think,
expose what he really is when
I
he
think
talks.
he'll take more with him when you don't, because
Yeah.
the guys, whatever, the people that are attracted to that, maybe they just hear Richard Spencer and they don't hear the counter argument, so therefore they
Yeah.
follow Richard Spencer. And
Yeah.
maybe if somebody had the opportunity to counter what he said,
Yeah.
that person doesn't get,
Yeah.
extremely,
Yeah.
extreme.
Yeah, I mean, we need that. That's a great point. I think we need people to hear the counter arguments
Yeah.
because a one-sided argument is so persuasive, and and a lot of people are. I don't mean this to be pejorative, but I think it kind of describes people. Are cushion people. They take the shape of the last person that sat on them, and that's what happens when you only hear one side of the story. You sit in that cushion. That's the shape. That cushion's taken, and we need the counter argument out there all the time, because if you don't have it, people could sound so persuasive without it.
Yeah.
And I think that's what Richard Spencer is counting on, is that that they'll just hear him and nobody else. And I mean, of course, if you heard somebody respond to him, they go, oh, thank you for filling in the gaps that I couldn't respond to. I knew it was wrong, but I couldn't respond to it because I hadn't heard the arguments. So
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so we've gone now from truckers to Richard Spencer. We can probably beat this to death, but maybe we can move on to some more positive topics.
So I can't vote in our own poll because I can't. It's not a binary question for me.
And I agree as well.
Yeah.
But I was just trying to get, maybe a conversation started online.
Yeah.
But we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Yeah. Good.
Okay, so I want to talk Super Bowl.
Yeah. Sure.
Okay, so you and your lovely wife were here for the Super Bowl,
Yeah. You made a great meal.
and we had a pretty good meal. Thank you.
Great
I
dessert.
appreciate that. And yes, your wife made tiramisu, which is my favorite.
Yep.
And
That's why we made it.
it's so good. And I made a like a tandoori chicken curry with potato and a rice biryani dish, some Indian food, and some samosas. So
Yeah.
it was really good.
And yogurt. That yogurt stuff was good.
Oh yeah, you like that dip?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, it's nice when it gets
Yeah.
a bit spicy to.
Yep.
I like to mix it right in
Yeah.
with curry
Yeah.
sometimes.
Yeah, the food was spicier than the game. So
Well, I thought the game was.
yeah,
It was okay. I thought the first half was a bit slow. I thought the defenses outplayed
oh my goodness, yes.
outplayed the offense definitely throughout the whole game, but especially in the
Yeah,
first half. Now the defense has also got a bit more dynamic in the second half, where it wasn't just a run play for half a yard, but Aaron Donald and Von Miller each had 2 sacks in the second half.
and lots of pressure.
Lots of pressure. So that was fun.
It was fun to watch.
And Cooper Cup
Yeah.
was double teamed the entire fourth quarter, and he still picked up another touchdown in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
Cooper Cup is just amazing.
Yeah,
And Matt Stafford proves why he was the number 1 overall pick, 13 or so years ago. First time ever 2 number 1 overall picks went head to head in the Super Bowl. Maybe the second time ever.
yeah,
I'm not sure. First or second time ever. So, but one was like 13 years ago, and one was just 2 years ago, and Joe Burrow. I think Joe Burrow played exceptionally well as well.
under a lot of pressure.
Just under a lot of pressure.
Tons of pressure.
He just did as well as he could.
They need to draft some offensive linemen.
So apparently they have 5 picks in the first 3 rounds.
Oh wow.
So that's pretty good. So somebody said they anticipate 3 of those 5 picks going to offensive linemen.
Yeah, they don't need them on the defense.
No, their defense is great.
Yeah, they need them on the and
They
their
have a
offense
great-
line isn't that bad either. It's compared to what they're
Yeah.
facing every time they snap the ball from Los Angeles.
Well, apparently their right side of their offensive line was just no good.
Oh, is that right?
Well, and I mentioned that I forget his first name. His last name is Spain, and he used to play for Buffalo, and I remember him being essentially a matador for defensive ends to head straight to the quarterback.
Yeah.
So, Cincinnati, I think they got a very bright future. They have 2 wide receivers that were excellent. Jamar Chase was one, pretty much.
Yeah.
Rookie. I don't think he was rookie of the year, but he was definitely a rookie of the year candidate.
Yeah.
And the other guy was really good. Joe Mixon, their running back, was 3rd in the league in rushing, and apparently that's amazing. And Joe Burrow could be an MVP caliber quarterback. So I think
For sure.
they got a bright future. Murray, would you pull down my black blanket a bit more? I'm cooking.
Getting all worked up, right?
I'm getting warm. Excellent. Thank you.
Is that far enough?
Yeah, it's good. So
I think one of the problems for me was that the 6 playoff games before that was the
were
best
so
football
good.
I'd ever seen.
So that especially
Yeah.
the Buffalo
Yeah,
Kansas City game.
Yeah, that was. I haven't rubbed it out on my TV. I still have it.
Yeah.
And when a football fan comes over, I play the last 2 minutes. Hey, let's just watch the last 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Buffalo Bills, Kansas City Chiefs.
That's a
game.
top
So
10
good.
game of all time.
Oh my goodness, what a and it wasn't the only one. I mean, they were all 3 points. And it was crazy.
Oh yeah, game-winning field goals.
Yeah.
Game-tying field goals.
Yeah. There was no leaving before the end of the game in any of those.
Yeah.
You know? I was glad that the Super Bowl was close, but it just seemed a little drab.
It was.
And maybe
it wasn't
that's
the most exciting. No.
Yeah, that's probably the result of great defense.
Yeah.
You got to. I mean, you live and die if you're just offensive, but defense can just shut so much stuff down if they're really good, and they sure were motivated. That last sack on Burrow by
Donald.
Who?
Donald. Aaron Donald.
How can I forget his name?
Oh, you call him 99. People will know.
Yeah, that was such a great play. He just wanted it.
Yeah,
and I love
and
that
his reaction after the game. He was in tears and just said he was speechless and couldn't believe it.
Yeah,
and I loved how right after that play he held up both of his hands and he pointed to his ring finger on one hand. Like, yep, that's the ring right there.
Yeah.
I just got myself a ring, so I thought that was pretty funny.
When I see that kind of stuff on TV, the question I always ask myself is, I wonder what kind of person he is. Okay, so you can play football and you can be incredibly aggressive and successful. What do you like as a human being when people have to live with you day to day? That's probably something I shouldn't ask of football players. But
well, from all accounts, he's a pretty good guy, and he's an extremely hard worker. So, work ethic is there for sure.
Yeah. That's great.
So, one of the receivers, Jefferson, for LA. Did you hear about this?
No.
His wife was at the game and went into labor.
I did hear that.
At the game. And I saw a video. As soon as he found out, he bolted the stadium. And it wasn't his first kid or anything like that. This guy's like a true family guy.
Yeah.
Earlier in the week, he missed a media thing that he was quote unquote supposed to do because his 5-year-old had like a dance recital or something.
Good for him.
Yeah, so that's awesome. That's good that
it's tough to make those kind of moves when you're getting paid that kind of money. When people pay that kind of money, they think they own you.
Well, fortunately, he lives in LA.
Yeah.
He plays in LA, and the Super Bowl was in LA, so it afforded all that of him, which was nice. So, I was really happy for him. I was happy for Donald to win the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
I was happy for Stafford to win the Super Bowl.
I was more happy for Stafford, by the way.
Okay, yeah, I think you were more happy for him than I was, but I was happy for him. So, he had not wasted, but he was 12 years in Detroit, only ever made the playoffs for the 12 years, and never won a single playoff game. So he was 0-4 in playoff games coming into this postseason.
Mm-hmm.
He's now 5-4.
He's now what?
5 wins and 4 losses.
Yeah, right.
Because he went 5-0 in this year's playoffs. And so it's kind of interesting. I think Detroit thought maybe, he can't win the big game. So that was kind of one of the criticisms, right? He can't win the big game.
The last drive just proved that.
He kind of won the big game.
Yeah.
And there's another player who is on the Rams, who I also think got misused for a couple of years. And he was kind of, I think he was really unfairly maligned, and that's Odell Beckham Jr.
Yeah.
Now he's got funky hair and earrings,
Yeah.
and he's kind of got some stuff to say from time to time.
Yeah.
But the dude had 7 touchdowns in 2 and a bit seasons in Cleveland.
Yeah.
Then in half a season in LA, he got 7 touchdowns.
Yeah.
Got a touchdown in the first half of the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
I talk about another case of a team blaming the wrong guy for the failures.
Yeah.
Because the failures of the offense in Cleveland is, I believe, solely on the shoulder of a very mediocre number 1 overall pick quarterback.
Yeah.
Johnny. Yeah.
Oh,
Baker.
Back to
Baker. No.
Yeah. Okay.
You're right. Johnny's another wasted.
Oh my goodness, what a waste.
Yeah. Yeah. So at least Baker,
he works hard.
He works hard, and he doesn't have his nose in the cocaine.
Yeah.
Johnny Man, so he's not just ruining his career; he's ruining his life.
Oh yeah.
Which is just sad. But to me, Baker Mayfield is a backup quarterback.
Yeah.
Or a placeholder for a team that
want 2 points, so they're looking like they're doing 1.
Yeah, exactly. Because Baker Mayfield is, I think, a guy who's going to get you barely more touchdowns than interceptions. And I think he's going to get you 3,500 yards a year, not 45 and 5,000.
Yeah. Yeah, it's I thought that of him in university too.
Yeah.
I didn't. He was a lot of pizzazz, and he came through in a couple of games. But
there's a big difference between the guys in the NFL and.
Never felt like he threw the ball that well.
He doesn't have the most powerful arm. He's not.
Yeah. He's
not undersized, but he's not He's not big either.
Yeah.
He's not slow, but he's not like his. He could run and scramble a little bit in college, but the defensive ends and linebackers in the NFL are so much faster than in college.
Yeah.
Like his skills and abilities just do not translate to the NFL, unfortunately. I think if he wanted to, he could do really, really, really well in the CFL, but I think he'll still make a lot more. Somebody will pay him $10 million a year in the NFL at least, and in the most he could make in Canada is like $3 million a year. So
only 1 or 2 players can make that. So.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Well, anyways, I'm glad LA won. I think Cincinnati has a future if they draft properly. So I think they'll be back. I was still surprised to see them there, but the
AFC, there's no guarantee they're going to be back, right? Buffalo Bills are stacked.
Yeah.
Kansas City Chiefs are stacked. If Tennessee or the Colts get a quarterback, they have great defense and great running backs. They'll be teams to contend with. If Denver got a good quarterback, they'd be a great team. I think formerly San Diego Chargers have great potential. I think the AFC has really good potential and really good young quarterback.
Yeah, it's too bad that they're all in one league.
I think I think the top 5 young quarterbacks are all in the AFC. I would put uh, Josh Allen, Mahomes, Joe Burrow, uh, Justin Turner, and the guy in Baltimore. All
Yeah, Kyler. No, Kyler Murray.
no, I'd put him. All those
Yeah,
5 ahead of Kyler Murray.
yeah.
I think Kyler Murray is the best young quarterback in the NFC,
Yeah.
but to me, he's number 6 out of the young guys.
Yeah.
What's the guy's name?
Oh, we've been through this before. We both forget it all the time.
Yeah,
No, can't remember.
no,
I have an excuse. What's yours?
I don't know.
Yeah. Well, anyways, I think the right team won. Really happy for
Yeah.
Stafford. Uh, Boring kind of game, but
Yeah.
the last drive was really exceptional, and the stopping of Cincinnati in the last minute and 30 seconds
Yeah.
was
Well, because it was 4th and 1, right?
yeah.
So you're thinking 4th and 1.
Yeah.
There's a good chance they'll convert, but
They didn't.
no. Donald
He just
blew up the play.
oh my goodness sakes, he was crazy.
He was on
Yeah.
Burrow in under 2 seconds. He was on
Yeah.
Burrow.
He was so motivated. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I like to see that. I'm really
Yeah,
happy for him.
exactly.
So, yep.
Like so, Donald makes like $20 million a year, right?
Yeah.
He makes a lot. He's one of the highest like paid defensive players in the league. But he was in tears after the game, and you know he's playing not just. I mean, they're all playing for the money. Don't get me wrong, but he's also playing for the love of it.
Obviously.
And Odell Beckham Jr. was in tears as well, and I loved it. I love seeing it. I love seeing that, like, the pain of the last almost 3 years for him.
Yeah.
Just failing.
Yeah.
Failing and failing and failing in Cleveland. And he probably didn't know. Maybe he didn't know if it was his fault or not. He probably doubted himself after a while, right?
Yeah.
He's like, I'm not getting the ball. Am I not getting open?
Yeah. Well, he wouldn't have done better in New York. Like it wasn't going anywhere either.
No, exactly. So
I think it's a tragedy he didn't get to play the second half.
it's too bad.
Because I think he deserved it. And,
I think if he had played in the second half,
wouldn't be close.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
I think it would have been at least a 14-point win, probably.
Yeah.
Probably 17 or 21.
Cup could do that with 2 and 3 people on him.
Yeah, like imagine, because then you can't.
Yeah.
If they do that, it's single coverage on Odell Beckham, and then he would have scored 2 or 3 touchdowns.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, you can't cover both of them.
No.
So yeah, I mean,
Well, you can't double both of them.
You know, Cup reminds me of Gronkowski. Big, doesn't look like he's fast, but really hard to bring down.
Fast. Yeah.
Great hands, and Chris Collinsworth,
Yeah.
who did the game. he I really liked him. So,
Cup can avoid the first hit, and then the second hit, he bounces off him. It's just he's fast and he's strong.
Oh yeah. Amazing athlete.
Yeah.
It's such a great, unfortunately brutal game.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want, or I didn't let any of my kids play football. When they said football, I said, let's go skiing or let's go do something else. I never let my kids play football.
And that's why Kyler Murray, I was a bit surprised he chose football because he got like a $4 or $5 million offer from baseball, and like, okay, so his earning potential in football is probably higher than it is in baseball, because I think he can make $40 million a year in football, and the most he'd probably make in baseball is closer to $20 million a year.
Yeah.
But to not scramble my brains I might take the 20 million instead
Yeah.
of the 40
But
million.
the trade-off is like 17 games as opposed to 172.
62.
62, 162. Like that.
Yeah, but that's not going to cause you brain damage. Whereas
No.
concussions.
No, it's
might.
not. But I can't imagine playing any game, 162 games in a year.
Yeah.
Like not in a year, like in 9 months, 8 months.
Yeah.
I just that I don't think I could like a game after that. Yeah, I can do a lot of things that I like, just not that often. So anyway,
right.
but you're right. The scrambling of the brains is a big deal, and that's
Yeah.
happening to a lot of them.
Yeah.
I mean, the number of them that just don't survive past 40 or 50 is tragic.
So sad. I love a kid just on my block who's like 14 years old, and he's had like 4 or 5 concussions.
Yeah, what are the parents doing?
I don't know.
You should never.
And he's still playing football. Like I don't.
Yeah.
I don't get it. And like the kid is good, and he might get a scholarship to a Division I school, but he's not big or fast enough or strong enough to make the NFL, and I know that.
So ruin your life.
Yeah, I don't get it.
I don't either.
I don't get it.
Yeah, it's and a lot of them don't really know what's happening to them. I think back when I was a kid, I think we got. I'm pretty sure I had a number of concussions, but nobody knew what a concussion was.
Well, they do now.
Yeah, do they ever?
And the parents should know better.
Yeah, absolutely.
So the 14-year-old, obviously, he's going to choose to play.
Sure. Oh yeah.
Because he thinks he's indestructible.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Send
him to tennis.
Yeah, but the mother should know. The father should know that.
Yeah.
No, this is no more football. No more hockey.
Yeah. No delayed gratification. You can't put it off for better times. You got to have it now. And
I get it that they see an excellent education.
Yep.
Because he probably will go Division I.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
He's that good, but but he's also only so he's like a defensive tackle, and he's a big kid, but he's only 5'10".
Oh wow.
5'11". So that'll work in college. He will not make it to the NFL.
Yeah.
He will not. Yeah. So
that's it.
Yeah, I'm telling you, just with that height.
Yeah, it's tragic what we allow our kids to do. And I mean, I remember lying a number of times to play basketball and hockey.
Yeah.
How are you feeling? I'm fine. And I wasn't.
Yeah.
But I still played, and I have a number of significant injuries that have followed me into my old age. And fortunately, none of them I don't think any of them in my head. Maybe that would explain a lot of things.
Maybe.
So,
anyway. You remember, isn't as good as it used to be. Right? I mean, you are 74 as well.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, you don't know. And probably they won't do, an autopsy of your brain after you're gone, right?
Yeah.
So who knows? There could be evidence of some CTE.
Yeah.
You never know. If you had a handful of concussions.
Yeah. I didn't have that many. Maybe one, maybe two.
Okay.
It's all hockey,
But is there a possibility you could have had a couple more you didn't know about?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, probably.
So,
who knows? I fell off my bike and hit my head on the road. Stuff like that happened. And I don't ever remember anybody talking possibility of concussion. They did talk about keep them awake all night.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. So if there's a bleed, that's all we knew to do, keep them awake all night. But I love the game. I hate the brutality of it. And we only see it from a distance. When you're right in the trenches there, it must be brutal. Those guys hammered each other, play after play after play. Oh.
Does it ever give you pause to watch it?
Yeah.
Does it?
Yeah. My my son-in-law played a lot of football right up until first year university. He was a quarterback, and he went to Laurier, and he was going to be number 2, and he just thought I'll concentrate on my education. Yeah. And So he coached high school football for about 12 years. And then he said, I can't do this anymore. Watching kids get hurt everywhere from knees to ankles to shoulders to concussions. He said, I just, and the variation at high school, like you have some major teams in our area that are so strong because of the system that they have in the city. Like Cambridge has a football program for kids. So the Cambridge schools, especially Jacob Esper, has this huge program, and they can beat up on anybody. And then you have programs out, like, Preston won a number of championships, but there's some years when they weren't very good, and they just get hammered. And some of the new schools
like 55-0.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
just totally unconscionable.
I don't like that in high school sports.
Yeah.
So I don't have, and see, I think there's a bit of a rationalization here, but I haven't really hesitated to watch NFL football because I'm like, well, they're adults and they're making their own choice. But you know what? Those adults weren't always adults. They were kids. And I stopped, and enough people stop watching football, kids will stop playing football, right? And kids will stop getting hurt.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
The most abused athlete in all of sport is the university football player, because most of them aren't going on. They're playing 100%. They're playing against a lot of guys who are. They're not being paid. Okay, they get their education. That's not a little thing. But with the money, if you've seen some of the facilities, some of these universities,
when the school is making
crazy,
when the school is making literally $100 million off the football program, because of course they are, because they're paying the coach $10 million, and you don't pay the coach $10 million if you're only making $20 million. Like your football program is making $100 million
at least.
Like it's time to pay the players.
I think so too, and they give their heart and soul to it. And most of them just walk away with, usually, well, I don't actually know the stats, probably not a degree, finish their football career, and they've had their 15 minutes of fame. That's it for life. And they take away a number of injuries. I think that,
I hope.
The next one is junior hockey players. I think they're totally abused.
100%.
But they want to, they're so naive, they don't realize how much they're being taken advantage of.
See it. They see it as, oh, this is our opportunity. Thanks for the opportunity. But it's like, opportunity or not, they're kind of using it. And I would like to see it like almost enforced that like football players have to graduate. And I'd like to see it also that even after they're done playing football, they can go to school for free. Like get your PhD if you want.
The commitment should be, if you played football, you should be able to finish your education at any time. We know you couldn't do it while you're playing football. Who could, except the really bright kids? The kids who are academic and athletic, which aren't very many. I probably shouldn't say that. There are quite a few of those.
But it's not a high percentage.
And the requirement is so high that you have to take courses that you can do on top of football. But I think once that scholarship is over,
like rice cooking 101.
They should commit to those kids getting their education at any point in life after. So if they go out and try something else, they want to come back at 35 to that university.
That's what
give them the
I think the CHL did that. So the CHL, like the OHL, Quebec League, Western League, I think they recently sued the CHL. The players did, and I think they're getting a bit more money now. And I think if they play for a certain amount of time, they get their college education paid for.
Wow, that'd be great. They should.
100%.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because there are junior teams that were paying the players $50 a week and making tens of millions of dollars.
Totally unconscionable.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just because they're kids and they're amateurs. So
No, it's worse because they're children.
yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh well. Anyways, how long we've been going for quite a while here.
An hour and 20 minutes.
Yeah. You want to just play that song and then we'll call it a day? People could comment on it.
Sure.
So
I actually need you to bring my joystick in a tiny bit more.
okay.
It's kind of worked its way out just a little bit.
Yep.
Good.
It looks like it's to the left.
Yeah, you can pull it towards you a bit. Good.
Okay.
Yeah.
You want me to do an intro?
Yeah, sure. Well,
okay, so I, like a lot of people, I get on YouTube and I find something I like and I go down sometimes what I call a rat hole and sometimes a rabbit hole. Rat holes are just
negative things. Yeah.
The rabbit holes are things that lead from one to another that I really enjoy. And I stumbled on this little kid who won Norway's Got Talent. And she won it when she was 7.
Wow.
And I love this kid's voice at a level I've never experienced. And she does her own arranging. She tells the musicians how she wants them to play, and you'll see here that she has some great studio musicians with her playing. But her interpretation of songs and her blues type stuff is just like I mean, you may hate it. My wife doesn't really like it, but I do.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So Jane just says, well, when I heard of it, I thought, but I think she's exceptional. So.
Okay, well, I'll check it out.
Yeah.
I've never really, the I Put a Spell on You song has never really been one I've
Me neither.
listened to, but
I've never ever liked the song.
And you and I do have different quickly back to Super Bowl. People are all across North America saying it was one of the best halftime shows ever.
It's a piece of crap.
Well,
yeah. Okay.
You didn't like it. I don't think it's fair to say it's a piece of crap.
Oh no, that's my preference.
Yes.
That's where it fits in my scale of things.
I thought it was a piece of crap.
I thought it was a piece of crap.
Okay,
so
fair
I know a lot of people don't agree with that. Apparently LeBron James thought it was the best ever, but I'm not into LeBron James, so
I don't think it was the best ever, but I actually liked it.
Yeah. Okay. What are you doing up here?
I am. I'm getting the video to play in our video.
Okay, great. I got you. Oh, you're on the wrong one, right? Save the world.
You're right.
Yeah, I want the next one down. Okay.
Good call, Murray.
Yeah, I'm paying attention.
This is why you're here.
Yeah. Okay. Enjoy. We'll shut up.
Actually, you know what I'm going to do?
What?
I'm going to mute us.
Okay.
Just my microphone. That way,
you don't hear the.
They don't hear the breathing.
Yeah.
And they only hear the music.
Great.
Because you're mine. Stop the things you do. I ain't lying. I can't stand No, put me down. Spell you because you're mine. Stop the things you do. Hey, what's up? I ain't lying. I love you. I love you. I love you. I love you anyhow. I don't care if you don't want me. I'm yours right now. I put a spell on you because you're mine. I don't care if you don't want me. I'm yours right
Wow.
For your listening pleasure.
That was I actually quite like that.
Me too. I'm not a blues person either.
Well, I like jazz. I'm not normally
it's jazz. I guess,
yeah. So like I love the saxophone. I loved
Yeah.
the bass, but her
The studio musicians were
voice,
phenomenal.
they were,
But
but
she's only 8 years old, I think, in this one.
and the maturity
Yeah.
in her voice, the talent. It's not just her talent. It's not just her ability. The skill there, like
Yeah.
she has worked at this.
Has she ever? And she does the well, I lost the word.
Composition.
She does the composition like she tells the musicians how she wants them to play it. Like she does her own work
Wow.
and brings her own style to things. And she's 15 now, and I've listened to a lot of her stuff. And honestly, she's one of a kind to my mind. If you turned off the screen, I would think I was listening to a 30-year-old accomplished musician.
100%.
Like that's not an 8-year-old's voice. But
No.
Like I usually don't like listening to kids sing. Well, I like it because they're kids, but it's really kind of tinny and there's a
their voices are not as matured or not deep but full, right? Like no, I agree with you 100%.
Yeah.
Like I like listening to the children's choir sometimes.
Yeah. That's different.
That I quite like, but just one child voice, it almost lacks something.
Yeah.
Hers lacks nothing.
Yeah. That
was fantastic.
There's a video that once you start into listening to kids, you know how things come down the right side of YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just started clicking, and I ended up on one that is either the 10 or 20 best auditions for America's Got Talent by teenagers, and she's in there.
Okay.
She's singing Queen, Bohemian Rhapsody.
Oh, I saw that in the.
Yeah.
I
So,
might have to play that later.
like, because it's on there, you don't get the full song, which is really, really too bad.
Right.
That's the one thing I dislike about those shows.
It says 449. Well, it's a good chunk of the song.
Oh, maybe it's not on there. Oh, it is America's Got Talent. So
Yeah, so
maybe they gave her a bit more time. I don't know. But,
yeah,
she didn't win America's Got Talent.
but she won Norway's Got Talent. You said.
Yeah, she got
So
in the top 10.
She was Norwegian at first and now American.
Yeah, so she speaks Norwegian. That's her.
Yeah.
She speaks English too. I mean, these kids are so talented. Oh my goodness sakes. Did you? Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I thought you were hitting go on that one. So
No.
We probably bored people enough
Yeah.
for one day.
Well, we're 90 minutes right now.
Oh, are we really?
Yeah. So
I see. Yeah.
I say we wrap it up. Do you have
Sure.
any final thoughts?
No, I just as people probably know, we don't always agree.
Yep.
In fact, maybe not very often at all, but I like the conversations we have because they're always respectful and we're not trying to put the other person down.
Did we save the world? Not yet.
Just
A little bit. Come back next week and try again.
That much, and maybe we'll get to that much next week.
All right, let's try it next week. Okay, I'm going to do a little bit of video housekeeping.
Okay.
Guys, if you can, go to owlcreekcoffee.com. That's my coffee company. I'd love your support. And of course, just like with every single video, I do ask, if you liked it, hit the like button. If you want to see more, do hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell. You might get notified. Who knows? Murray doesn't. But until then, we'll see you next week.
Bye, everyone.